By the end of this video, I want to teach you exactly how to utilize a gluten-free diet to your advantage in a way that is conducive to weight loss. So this is Ayana. She insisted on being in our video today. I'll try to keep her from being too distracting. I'm going to be talking about three different things. First, what is gluten? Why removing it helps you to lose weight, and how exactly a gluten-free diet is helpful for promoting weight loss. I'm Carly. I'm a plant-based nutritionist, and I try to come out with videos every Monday and Thursday just on general nutrition information. This is a series of gluten-free videos just because I suffer from celiac disease and I have over the years learned an inordinate amount of information on this topic. So what is gluten? Gluten is simply the protein found in wheat, rye, and barley and all their derivatives. Unfortunately, that means the majority of the standard American diet food supply. Things like cookies, cakes, crackers, breakfast bars, breakfast cereals, pastas, but it can also be found in things like sauces and condiments. It can be a filler, a texturizer. It can provide extra mass. It can be for coloring, flavor, preservative. So it's ubiquitous in any food supply in a developed country. Why removing it? You're such a little troublemaker. Removing gluten from your diet will help you lose weight because it is so commonly packaged in unhealthy foods. Yes, honey, go put it back. So, like I mentioned, things like cakes, cookies, pies, crackers, these are not things that are going to help you lose weight. They are stuffed with oils and sugars and salt and all sorts of things that will be detrimental to any sort of lean body mass maintenance. How to use a gluten-free diet to promote weight loss. So most people have a tendency when they go on a gluten-free diet to simply substitute old versions of the foods in their diet that's familiar to them, the diet that they've been accustomed to most of their life, that their parents have probably taught them how to implement on a regular basis. So they will substitute things like, instead of a normal pizza crust, they'll use gluten-free pizza crust, or instead of glutinous containing pancakes, they'll use gluten-free pancakes, things of that nature. Unfortunately, the junk that you find in these processed foods are still going to be packaged in the gluten-free versions. And on top of that, when you remove the gluten, it acts as like a glue, like a gelatinous substance that holds the materials in the food together. When you take that away, the food gets really crumbly and dry and doesn't hold together well, and it doesn't taste as good. So you have to incorporate more harmful additives like sugar and salt and other chemicals and preservatives to help make this food as satisfying as it was with the gluten intact. So basically, instead of using these gluten-free substitutes in your diet, you have to completely reframe your mindset. You are going to be focusing on other whole grains that do not contain gluten, things like quinoa. That's not really a grain, but it's a pseudo grain. It's in the grain family. Things like rice and oats, teff, millet, sorghum, those are all gluten-free grains that you're going to be focusing on, as well as legumes, nuts and seeds, fruits and veggies. So as long as you're eating those foods in their most whole, intact form as the basis of your diet, everything else is just details. So the more processed and animal-based foods you have in your diet, the harder it's going to be to maintain any sort of weight loss. The more whole plant foods you have in your diet, the more passive the weight loss will be and the easier it will be to maintain. So I just want to mention quickly that although most studies conclude that gluten in and of itself is not helpful for weight loss in any way, There are certain indications that make me feel otherwise. For instance, it promotes an systemic inflammatory reaction in most people. So about anywhere from 2 to 10% of the population they have found to have this sensitivity to gluten. But outside of that, glutinous grains are not fully broken down. There are still about 32 polypeptides that are unable to be digested in the human tract. So just keep that in mind. So the inflammation can induce weight gain, but on top of that, these glutinous grains are typically found in high glycemic foods. So the higher the glycemic response, meaning the more sugar in the bloodstream, the more insulin that will be released to try to combat and usher those sugars into the cell. So the more excess insulin you have in your bloodstream at any point in time, the more fat will be stored on your body. So those are some indications for the general population, even those that do not have any sort of gluten intolerance or sensitivity that may benefit from removing gluten from their diet if they've tried other things and have not been successful. So I hope this video was helpful, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys wanted to subscribe or yes, honey, go put it back. Or make sure to hit that like button. I will see you next time.